E-L-O-E-J, a little aloha in our day. Spread a little aloha around the world. At breakfast with Bob.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with Bob. Actually, we are at Super League Malibu. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by Master Spas, As Fuels Go Longer, Hoka Let's Fly, DeBoer Wetsuits, Form Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand, Quintana Roo, Premium Plus Sports, and of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Big scoop. He's going to be at the starting line on Saturday morning here at Super League Malibu. Lionel Sanders is joining us.
You better book that. Better book that flight then, I guess. Maybe I start driving now.
How you doing, Lionel? Long time.
I learned my lesson when Cam Worf did that one. I will not do that one.
Yeah, he was here. I think he lapped out.
He didn't look like he enjoyed that too much.
No, I think he got lapped out in about 2 seconds. So I just met Levi for the first time. Being a dad, how much fun have you been having?
It's amazing, man. I mean, truly changes everything. Your entire perspective. It just gives greater meaning to everything you do, every action you do. You know, the little guy's watching you, and it's also just really cool to watch, you know, someone develop. Like we all started that way, and it's super cool to see, you know, interaction with his mom and just how he's developing, and to know, you know, that's how we all started. It's just really, really cool in every way.
So this year, and I know that. I get a tendency sometimes that you beat yourself up a lot. And I was just looking back at some stuff, and I'm like, you know, this guy since 2014, he's had 31 wins, 17 seconds, 3/3. I mean, done 17 fulls, 43 70.3s. Nobody has been as consistently solid. And, you know, there really has not been a year where you've missed a lot of time. The consistency. I look at all these getting off the bike in these 70.3s, 112, 109, 111, just so consistent.
I am the king of mediocre performances, Bob.
Those are not mediocre.
I can do mediocre every weekend.
That is not mediocre.
Every weekend.
That is so not mediocre.
No, I am taking from here on out. I watched a video. I sound like a broken record when I talk. So I'm not going to say much other than to say,
yes,
I will learn from the greats of our sport, and Jan is one of the best to ever do it.
Yep.
And what's a major difference other than talent and all these other pieces, but what's a major difference is he targets 1, 2, maybe 3 races a year.
Yep.
And has a high performance. And for instance, in 2021, when what was it? The California race.
Oceanside?
No. It got
canceled. Ironman California got rained out.
Yeah, Ironman California. He was there. He was there to have a high performance. The race got canceled, but he didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to pivot and go to Florida," like I did, for instance. He was like, "This is where I peaked for." And the race didn't happen, and it sucks, but oh well, you know, it's right. This is where I was peaked for. This is how I traveled to it. This is how I had everything planned. And I, on the other hand, I do the complete opposite of that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, let me race every weekend. Let me. Oh, I didn't have a good race. Let me race next weekend. Maybe next weekend I'll have a good race. And it's like, the game is not that. I don't think you can do that anymore. You know, that's done now, because to be competitive, I think you need a high performance. And so, yeah, I've had lots of like not super high performances, like moderately decent performances, but very few high performances. And so the only thing for me in my career now is I'd love to have a high performance. Like I am running out of time, and I don't have a race where I'm like, that was everything I had. Like, that was like, it was I peaked in the swim. That's the best I could swim. My biking, my power, my speed, my equipment choices, the best it could have been. And I performed well. And then I got off the bike and I didn't fade, and I ran a good solid half or whatever race distance it would be. I don't have one of those. Like I don't have one. And I don't want to end my career having not had, in high performance, I think is like an internal thing too, you know, like it's like, to have had my highest performance. I haven't had that. And really that's the only thing I want to do now.
I get, it's interesting. I was talking to Ben Canute today, and Ben basically said what he learned this year was he got ready for Challenge Roth. They decided before the season started, that was the focal point. And he got third there and had a phenomenal day. But he focused on that race. So they realized next year Kona is going to be our focal point. When we focus on something, I perform well. When I don't, when I go, I'm going to do 3 races in August, then doesn't quite work out as well as when he focuses on that one. But for him, getting third was good, right? That was fine. And for you, when I look at example, just St. George last year, you did everything right. You didn't get carried away on the bike, right? You could have done the Uber cyclist thing and gone off and with everybody else. You didn't. You stayed confident. You stayed patient. You changed into running shorts. You ran a 242. You went 754 and got second. To me, that's a high performance. I know in your mind you didn't win.
Yeah. No, it's not about the win. I agree with you. I hear, you know, you know, as you get older, I think you start to understand for sure, you know, only one guy gets to win, right? So it's like, if that's the definition of what a high performance is to win,
yes,
then like only one guy ever gets to have a high performance a year. You know what I mean? Maybe 2 or 3, 70.3 worlds, Kona, Roth, maybe like 3, 4 performances a year are considered high performance. No, St. George was actually a bad race, and including like McCall, who I was working with at the time, we agreed that was not a very good performance. In fact, it was quite a poor performance. My bike power was very low.
Interesting.
Didn't run like I ran. I ran consistent and I closed well, but it wasn't a very good. Like it wasn't a good. I got outrun by 5 minutes, and I think my run talent wasn't like that bad, you know, to get outrun by 5 minutes. And it's not just that, like, it's not just on the day. Of course you can have I've had lots of good performances on the day for sure, but it's more or less like, did you do everything you could to be the best swimmer you could be? Did you do everything you could to have the best setup, the best aerodynamics that you could have, the lowest CDA that you could have? Did you do everything that you could to be the best bike handler that you had? Did you do everything that you could to have a more efficient run stride that you could, for instance? Like, you know, there's lots of people who are experts in those fields. And to answer the answer to all those questions in St. George, for instance, is no. And so it's not a high performance. And so one day you'll look back if you don't do those things and you'll be like, wow, I had so much things I could have tried at least, you know, I could have investigated and didn't, you know. For instance, on the bike, Canyon is upset with me. And, you know, I thought it was because I do whatever I want. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to ride this bike. No, I'm going to ride that bike. I'm going to do this position, that position. And I was like, okay, fine. I won't change bikes anymore. And they're like, it has nothing to do with that. And they're like, it's because like you're not very professional. Like you don't like you do no testing. We've offered you to do testing like every year of your career. The only time you've ever done any aerodynamic testing with us was when we first started working together in 2018. You never did it again. And it's like, we don't really want to work with someone who's not being professional. You know, the game is not that like that. When it first started, no one was doing that. You know, very few were doing that. Maybe Starkey, the mathematic guys, right? The mathematically minded guys, I think, were thinking that way, like Keenley, Starkey, a few others. Then Jan came around and he just took it to a new level of like professionalism. Now Jan inspired an entire generation of kids who are extremely professional. It's incredible how professional they are in their approach, and they don't do any things like I'm doing. I've rode 3 different positions the last 3 different races. Like nobody's doing that. This is stupid. Like it's unprofessional. I'm like amateur racing in the professional field. That's how it and it's starting to look like that too, you know, like it's a different tier now, like really, when you go up against a top tier talent. And so that's, I guess, what I mean by, yeah, St. George, great. You know, external result was pretty good for me. You know, I don't think anyone thought I was winning. So, you know, second was probably the best I could do. Good external result. Internal, you know, I think it's the same thing. Jan won Kona 2015. I don't think he went home and was like, that was amazing. I think he was like, wow, I got so much room to improve. I can't wait to get back to work and figure out how to have the highest performance that I could possibly have.
But I also think, you know, someone like a Jan, who wins 2 years in a row, and then in 17, actually, when he won his second year, Patrick, you know, ran 239. Ran 239, and you could see the look on Jan's face, like, oh crap, I got to run faster, even though he just won the race. But Patrick got third and broke the course record. So what did Jan do? He went home and I think he went vegan and got too skinny. And we were interviewing him the following year in 17, And my wife goes, he's not going to finish the race. He's too skinny. And so he makes mistakes too, where he sort of like, I got to run faster. Well, you run faster, you lose power on the bike.
When Patrick passed me in 2017, I started to get body conscious for sure, because he weighed probably 10, 15 pounds less than I did.
Right.
And so I definitely, and I also did the same thing in 2018. I started to try to cut weight. And I didn't get injured. I did get injured the next year, but I didn't get injured, but I didn't perform well.
Right.
And that's all fine and dandy. You know what I mean? Those are like, I think that's when you steer away from the basics, doing the basics really well. You know what I mean? When you start trying to do those kinds of dietary interventions and things and try and change your body composition and stuff, I think now you're getting away from the basics. Once again, you do it long enough, you have all those experiences. Like I already did that, you know, I've made so many mistakes. I've tried like every protocol there is to try, you know, and like, yeah, I mean, dudes do that. I've known lots of guys to do the body, you know, try and change their body because they think, oh, a guy who's 170 can't run very fast. Well, I mean, there's a lot of great guys who run 27-minute 10Ks who are 170 plus pounds. So that's not true, right? It's you develop into yourself. And once again, it's how good can I do, right? And if I have that race one day where I'm like, that's everything I could have done in my swimming. Like it's the best I could do in my swim. I had like, you know, one-on-one coaching. I had video analysis regularly. I used all the technology available to me. I honed my stroke the best I could, and I swam 51 minutes. Then that was the best that I could. And that will be when that day comes. No problem. Not a problem. That's sports. Like not everybody gets to win. Not everybody is going to be 46-minute swimmer, you know, that's okay. But to not have done all those things, that will leave you with regrets, I think. And so I feel I did 2 races, Michigan and then Augusta, and I really feel it. I felt it after Augusta. I'm like, wow, it's like, it happened so quick. It's like, it passed me by so quick. And now I'm behind. I'm like very behind now. And it happened really quick, like literally like 24 months. I feel like it happened. It went from like the entire thing went up, and not evolving and not doing the right, you know, doing the things you need to do has resulted in falling behind. You know, Ditlev, for instance, I raced him 2019 Daytona.
Yep.
He was the swimmer right in front of me in Daytona. He is now basically, you know, almost front pack. Like he's make front pack sometimes, like the Sam Laidlow front pack, not like the old school, like the very front pack. Now he makes it, or he's a minute down. He was just in front of me in 2019. He's done the right things. He's done something between 2019 and 2023 that he's swimming front pack now. So there is a way to do it. You know, it's just, if you're not doing it, and if you're not, I think in my case, you know, I think it's a fear component. I think there's like like for instance, I've said I want to do lots of things, but never did it. You know, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to start working with Jerry Rodriguez. I'm going to move to LA.
Right.
But that never panned out. Never did that. You know, I bet you if I did that, I'd probably be a lot further along now. And so there's like fear component. There's all these components to it, but
well, it's also life components. You got life components. Your wife, a kid, you're in Arizona.
Of course. But, you know, long story short, I am acutely aware that this is almost over. And so what am I after? I'm after that performance. And having said, I did everything I could. And that's the best I did. So
does that mean you go out and get yourself a Jerry Rodriguez working around the swim?
I rekindled my relationship with Jerry, and he was hesitant to rekindle the relationship because I'm one of those people. We've been on and off, you know, a couple of years. I'm one of those. Well, I've changed a lot. The little guy changes things, and I think I proved that I am a changed man. You know, I'm all in now. I'm committed. So right now, my vision is to assemble a team of, you know, guys who I trust, who I can commit the next 2 to 3 years to fulfill this dream, which the dream is to have that high performance. And so Jerry and I started working with each other again. I'm set to go there like the 21st, 22nd, 23rd for a camp. He's going to come see me a few times. We're already doing weekly video analysis.
Sweet.
You know, that stuff in the swim. Like those are things that after 2 or 3 years of commitment, whatever you get, that's probably the best you're going to do. You know what I mean? Like, and if it's 51 and I don't get any better, I'm not going to cry about that. You know, it's all good. I did my best, and I can tell that to the little boy. I did my best, and I finished, you know, fill in the blanks, 20th, 5th, 1st, 2nd. What it don't matter, you know.
You want to make sure that now with Canyon, are you going to take them up on getting in the wind tunnel and getting some evaluation?
Well, I'm starting to do some testing. This actually, a friend of mine's coming in. We're doing road testing Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then I'm going to the velodrome on the 19th and the 20th in Carson.
Nice.
And eventually in December or early January, we'll go to the wind tunnel with Canyon. So I'm blessed in that I do have the opportunity, you know, like, it's like when I think about my younger self, I was like, I mean, what are you doing? Like, what do you do? I had the opportunity to do all this stuff every single year. I've had all of these great opportunities. Fear. I do think there's a fear component. Like that requires, I'm gonna have to go to Germany on my own. Uh-oh. You know, like there's fear. You're not ready to do the things until you're ready to do the things. I'm gonna have to go see Jerry on my own. You know, I'm gonna have to go spend time in Santa Barbara on my own. Can you imagine? Wow.
Is that you think it's a fear of success? Think it's a fear of,
I don't
what
think it's
happens
fear
if I do all this and I don't get that performance?
Oh, I've certainly, that is certainly a piece of it. When you give it your all, I've seen many, many athletes never give it their all.
Right.
That they don't have to know that they didn't have it. Oh, I've seen that lots. And of course, there's no way that I'm immune to that, of course. But I am prepared to fail for sure. You know what I mean? I've had lots of failures, public failures. So I would say at this stage, that's not my fear. Traveling on my own and stuff is definitely a fear. I don't know why. I've never, literally, Aaron's come with me since 2015 to every race. Well, I missed Oceanside 2015. I went by myself and I said, I'm never doing that again. And Aaron's come with me to everything since then. It was just like Kona camp was the only time really. And I was like, when I went to Kona camp last year, I said to Aaron on the phone, I'm like, I'm never doing this ever again. So, but unfortunately, like, she's going to come with me to the velodrome and stuff. But like,
nice,
you know, to go to the wind tunnel in Germany for like 4 days to bring a little guy, like, you know, for it's ridiculous. So it's like, sometimes you got to grow up too. And that's, the little guy changes you too, in that regard. It's like, you know, I got to work. I got to provide. Like, I've got to do the best I can. And if that means I got to go on my own, and I got to go on my own, I don't know. It's weird.
So the other side of it, I mean, listen, the guys you're talking, we talk about Magnus, this is a different era. We're getting guys coming into long distance who are 22, 23 years old. I mean, Jan didn't get in until he was in his 30s, right? Guys didn't come in until after they're done with the whole Olympic thing. A lot of these guys aren't even going to the Olympic protocol. They're going right to long distance. So you at 35 are competing with 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds. That's, you know, that's part of the game.
The writing is on the wall. I mean, it was on the wall when Gustav came over and won Daytona in 2020. Like, the writing was coming, right?
Yep.
But like now for the weak swimmer, the guy who, you know, started late, like myself, I don't know what to, like, Ditlev figured it out. You know, he figured it out.
Yes.
So it is possible. It's hard. I mean, it's crazy hard. This is the test of like, do you actually believe there are no limits? Like, if there are no limits, then okay. So let's just analyze the swim. Top tier open water swimmers would swim a lot faster than triathlon swimmers. All right. Triathlon open water swimmers. So the level of triathlon swimming then is not at the level of top tier swimming. So it's not, the ask isn't to become Olympic gold medalist level open water swimming, right? It's to become a lot less than that. And so are you going to become front pack? Probably not, but Ditlev's proved that you might even do that every now and then. You know what I mean? So if you're not doing it, then it's probably something you're doing. You know, if you got a good engine, you're a good athlete, and you're not doing it, you're not making the gains, well, then you need to keep figuring out ways to evolve and change till you make the gains. That's what I think. I think that's my belief anyway. Yeah, it has to be tested and proven. But Ditlev proved it. So,
well, and we've seen a number of guys.
Yeah. I mean, you have to like the writing is so on the wall now that I'd say the door is truly shut now. It is truly shut on the kids coming up as bike runners who can't swim and thinking you're going to bike run your way to win.
No,
not to say that it's not an asset. Not to say that it's not, you know, you train your bike run very hard. But the days of that, I'd say, are truly done. They're gone. So you need to get the swim in the right place. Ditlev's got it in the right place.
Yes.
And then on the back, you still have a deficit though. You're still going to have a deficit. And that's where you can use your bike run. But the door is closed now. And it happened fast, man. It was like, whoa. It was like, wow, 24 months, it's gone. It's closed. You will not win. You will not win until until you get better in the swim, like measurably better, and fix the aerodynamics. That's the new thing. It's like, I look at the power outputs of these guys, and it's like the power is not very high. It's hard to even wrap my head around, I'm like pretty old school. I'm like, you win through power. No, it's an asset. Great power is something like it's not super trainable to have. You can improve a little bit, but having big power, that's like a natural kind of gift. What guys have honed, which is a honable thing, is the aerodynamic front. Guys have really taken that to a new level, like F1 kind of, not that advanced, but pretty darn good, pretty advanced. And that's required now. You can't be spotting guys 20, 25 watts due to positional and aerodynamic things, because that's almost 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like that's literally 3 minutes and a 70.3, and you can't, there is no time like that anymore. It's just,
they're looking at everything. They're doing what? They're doing compression socks on the bike that they feel are aero. And all
people are, the level of testing that guys are doing now, they're making calculations of like, okay, over the course of an Ironman, it takes me 15 seconds to put these calf sleeves on. But I'm going to save 30 seconds. Therefore, it's a net positive. Therefore, I'm going to lose 15 here and I'm going to gain 15 out on the bike, right? They are literally analyzing at this level. They're analyzing what is the predominant direction of the wind on this course. So what is the right equipment to use with that predominant direction of wind? They're not saying, hey, that position looks good. Let me ride that today. Maybe try that bike today. They're not doing that. Yeah, that's amateur. That's me going into the professional field, and it's not work. That don't work anymore.
It's interesting because you're absolutely right. When you want to be the best, you've got to do it all. And so you'll look at You think you'll pick 2-3 races next year, because you're usually an 8 to 10 type of race guy.
I don't. Augusta was hard. I'm still like kind of grieving, I would say, from it. It's a bit of a stretch, but. After that, it was like, I'm not going to race for third. Like, I don't want to race for third. It's not that I'll do triathlon the rest of my life,
right.
I'm not going to do it professional like that. I'm not going to race for third at Augusta 70.3 as a professional. I'd rather be there having had some fun and went out and enjoyed the camaraderie of the course and stuff than do that. And so that's Augusta. I decided first out, we'll never do a back-to-back race ever again. Like I can't handle it. Like I can't do it like I used to do. It took a lot out of me, and I'm not interested. The only thing I want is to have a good race. Next year, if I can have one good race, it will have been a successful season. And for the rest of my career, all I want is to have a couple of good races. I've had lots of fun races. I've had wins. I've led the world champs. I never got to win it, but I led it
for a long time.
Like I have experience. I've had great experiences as a pro. The only thing I want now is to have a good, for me, great performance. And so, yes, I think that Jan proved, and now everyone's kind of following, is basically, his whole generation is like, owes Jan, like, cause he's the one who professionalized everything and showed the way. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing guys do 3 basically races, like 3 big races, and that's it. And that's kind of the future.
So you wouldn't look at 70.3 Oregon this year as a high performance where you win the thing and you run 111 off the bike and you go sub 2 hours on the bike. Now I know the swim is with a river, so
I can't look at anything because I had my CDA analyzed after that race and I was at a 0.245. So that's like the top tier CDA in our game right now is closer to 0.200, meaning I'm spotting 45 watts. So you'd have someone like another guy I raced last weekend, Amika Newt.
Yes.
He would probably outride me, or he would have rode even with me in that race, probably off of 320 watts. I pushed 365. He would push 320 to ride the exact same speed. So if he rides 330, he probably outrides me by 75 seconds. And if he rides 340, outrides me by 2.5 minutes. And I am pushing more power to do it. And so knowing how the game is behaving now, No, it's not. It's not a high performance. It's a performance where, yeah, you were the best on the day, but Trevor's the same as me. He was in that race. He was one of the guys who I thought was going to be the one to beat. And he's got no testing or anything either. He's probably riding a very similar type CDA as myself.
Right.
And we saw that in Augusta on the weekend. I talked to Mika after. He averaged like 323. I averaged 337. So I pushed 14 more watts and got outbiked by almost 2 minutes. So we weigh about the same.
Yes.
Similar. He's a little bit taller than I am, but
yeah.
So you're talking, it's a 27 watt spread, meaning the CDA differential is around 27 watts. That's the game, still bad swimmer, still, not bad, relative, the word is always relative, like relatively not good swimmer. There's just so much that I haven't done that I should have done, that I have talked about doing, that I have not done. And that's what I would like to do.
Yeah. And now's the time. It's not like you can do it in 3 years. It's now or never. Absolutely.
I'm being pushed out real quick here. It hurt. I mean, it's like, I haven't been in it for 10 years now. It's like, wow. As an athlete, I've been an athlete my whole life, like really the only thing I ever loved was sports. The only class I liked was gym class. The only thing I ever I thought about the world through was sports.
Yeah.
And so it's a fascinating experience to now the sport that I've devoted my life to be like, wow, it's like, it is coming to an end. It's going to come to an end. And you could run out of time here. You've woke up just in the nick of time, it seems. But I mean, if you mess around another time, it's done. It is done. So yeah, I'm taking my time to build the team out, a good team out, whom I can fully commit to and who I feel safe and secure that when I commit to these people, this is it. There will be no change in team members here.
Right.
And that's
it. The other thing is when I was talking to Ben Canute, and I look at that consistency of him with Jim Vance for all these years. And there's been highs and lows. There's been times where you're going, oh my God, he's had like 3 bad races in a row. I wonder if he and Jim are going to split. But it's that relationship, or Lance with Brent McMahon, 25 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a marriage. And I think that having that with a coach and going through ups and downs makes a difference.
That's a great personality trait that those guys have. I think that's a useful personality trait that has taken me, literally my whole career to really be able to finally say, no, that's not entirely true. I mean, I committed to McCall,
Right.
I was like, I'm going to be fully coached. But what's funny is Jerry analyzed that after. He's like, how it works coaching and with an athlete coach relationship is like, in the beginning, it's 100% coach, 0% athlete. And then it's 90, 10, and then eventually it's 50-50 and then as you guys are together for a long time, it could be like 60% athlete, 40% coach. And usually at that point, the athlete could probably even coach themselves, but the athlete is like, no, I love having the accountability of the coach.
Yep.
He's like, when you work with McCall, you were 100% coach, 0% athlete, but you have 10 years experience. That's like, you should have probably been like 50-50 by that point, and so that's why it didn't really work, because I didn't get to voice any of which I should have. I did that to myself. And so anyways, long story short, that's a great quality to have. What Ben has been with Jim and, as you said, Brent and Lance.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm there now at 35, a decade of professional racing, and a lot of the last year or two, mental struggle. I'd say I'm there.
So one of the things I wanted to chat with you about now that Sebi is retired, and I just went back and looked at some of the classic with you and Sebi. You guys raced 18 times, and you got 11 wins. He's got 7. But my favorite is, 2017 and 18 at Challenge Championship. You got first, Sebi got second. You got first, Sebi got second. And then St. George, first and second. And 16, you and Sebi. And then 17, you were second, he was third. And 18, you were first, he was second. Those battles, that's what you live for, right? Having those one-on-one battles with a guy like Sebastian Kienle, because racing on your own is great, but having that person who you respect the hell out of who pushes you to be better than maybe you thought you could be, that's what makes sport special.
I mean, Sebi's one of the best to ever do it, like
Yeah.
both as an athlete and as a person. And yeah, how he's done so much for the sport. I mean, truly inspired me when I was doing my preparations for the 70.3 World Champs in 2014. I had a picture of him, you know, holding the thing on his knees as he was winning in 2013. And so, yeah, I mean, he's the one who, you know, for me, made me believe in myself that I could be a professional, that I could make it, that I could contend for victories. And so,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, the battles, if I never do get that high performance, what I will always remember, of course, is those battles, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the ones that weren't like toe to toe, the one with Lang in 2017 being hunted down for over an hour, you know. Yeah, those are things I will never forget. Those are yeah, that's what I enjoyed most about sport. Yeah, but I hope and pray that I get to experience it again, you know, taste it again one more time, you know. So that'll be the motivation to stay the course.
Right.
And you know, I have to look where the inspiration is, you know. Like I said, I keep using Magnus as an example. Like he's a guy who, like, he was he's 15 seconds ahead of me in 2019 in a fairly, you know, mile long swim. And now he's front pack swimmer. Like, it's possible, man. It is possible, you know, but you got to do it right. And it takes like massive commitment. Maybe it's, you know, maybe that whole thing with not committing is not committing to a lot of things that, you know, it could be fear of commitment. Sure. But it's never too late, I guess. So here we are.
Well, and also when you do walk away from the professional side of this, you want to walk away knowing you've left every stone has been turned over. You did what you wanted to do. You right now you're saying, I want to have that race. I want to have that race where I know my prep, swim, bike, run, nutrition, weights, all that was spot on. And whatever happens on race day happens.
I would like to be a coach when this is all said and done. Like, I want to be around triathlon for the rest of my life, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
I've heard like, I don't know, it might be not a real story, but about the JR guy in Australia, Jan's coach, a bunch of guys coaches. And I heard, I don't know if it actually was a true story, but he was like on his deathbed or something. And his wife comes in and he's like, I got to get the swim set to the kids. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that's actual, but that was like the story. And he's still around anyway. But like, that's the pinnacle. I want to experience that. You know, I want to be a coach of people whom I like. They mean everything to me, you know, the passion of coaching. I want to experience that next. And I want to be around high performance forever. And so I feel that I can't do that. I won't be as effective at that if I don't first see my professional career through, my high performance career through all the way. So now it's also looking forward to my future, that this is an important piece to make me an effective coach, that I walked the walk, that I saw it all, and be able to transfer that information to other people. Because I'd love to work with kids, you know, I'd love to work with people coming up who have the drive, you know. And so it'd be nice to be able to have that experience.
I've always been intrigued by great coaches, and Meb Keflezighi, his coach Bob Larson, who he was with through college at UCLA and then all the way through his win at Boston and everywhere else. I asked Coach Larson, how would he evaluate if he had been successful as a coach? He goes, if my athletes are still running 10 years after I work with them, I was successful, right?
That's great.
I taught them a love of the sport rather than I got them to run a fast mile and then they broke down. That's not success, right? Success is
great. That's a great perspective.
Right. And to me, I've
100%.
He probably told me that 25 years ago. And you know what? That still stands, because that's the key. It's at the end of the day, it is still lifetime fitness. You've gotten into fitness, has been so cathartic for you and changing your life and making you the person you are today, the father, the husband, the athlete. And, you know, being that coach and passing it on to the next generation, having that right perspective of, hey, yeah, I want them to be great, but I want them to love it. I want them to love it forever, because you obviously love it.
I couldn't agree more on that. I mean, that's a wonderful perspective to have. And I am, you know, starting to think more coach minded. work with Trevor a little bit. You know what I mean? Like the joke is I give him 65% of the information I have, because otherwise he'll start
kick your ass
consistently. But and so I am slowly starting to think like that. And it's nice to work with Jerry again, for instance, because he's a great coach. Someone I respect and admire. And I look at him as a mentor too, from a coaching standpoint. So yeah, that's a great perspective to have that I also would love to cultivate.
I love it. This is going to be a fun journey for you, man. This is going to be really, really cool. People are going to love watching this.
Commitment. It takes a lot of commitment. Like you can't fault any of these kids coming up who are like next level, because the level of commitment that they have given to the game, to honing their game, it's hard to wrap your head around. Like it really is. It's difficult. I think that's part of the issue is like, wow, that takes a lot of work. It's not just training anymore. It's not just, I've always been a hard worker. I am a hard worker, but they're doing a lot of other stuff, including the hard work. And it's like, you kind of gotta evolve too with the game. Otherwise you're going to get left behind. I've already been left behind. So, fortunately I hope have a few more years left.
Well, you definitely have a few more years left, man. And I appreciate you always taking time to chat. I love where you're going. I think it's going to be a great experiment to see how great you can be. And there might be a point where you're going, you know what? I found out, and this is my level.
That's cool. That's great.
That's cool.
I mean, if you get the privilege of doing that, man, like that's what a privilege.
It totally is.
I found out you're in your athletic prime still, still able to exert at your peak level. And so, yeah, I think 2 years, maybe 3, I'll be 38. I always remind myself, Jan won 70.3 worlds at 38, and then he won Kona at 39. So we've already had someone pave the way. It is possible.
He was,
and
he ran a 106 off the bike when he did that.
Jan has been so committed. We could go on and on about everyone, and there's so many great stories in our sport. But it's a fun time to be in it, man. It's a humbling time, but it's a fun time to be in it.
So here, since I'm at Super League, you did arena games, and
one of the best experiences in racing I ever had. So much fun. Made me wish, damn, I would do these things exclusively if I could swim. I get why guys have the Olympic dream. I get why they're like addicted to the short course stuff. And that long distance stuff is boring. Like, you're right, it is. Compared to that, it is.
High intensity, all out. Watching arena games on television while you were participating in that was about as pure as sport gets.
That was a lot of fun. I'm gonna do another one of those again one day, and that was a lot of fun, man.
Love it. Hey, Lionel, thank you, buddy, for taking so much time. We have to check back with you in about 6 months and see how this journey's going.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. I hope to have some positive things to say. I certainly have positive things to say, but I don't know about the improvement side. I can only dream. So I appreciate you, Bob. I watched all your Kona series. Those were some great interviews. That fired me up. You almost got me out of Ironman retirement. Not yet, but you almost got me out of Ironman retirement.
I just think that's all these distances where the commitment you're making, there really isn't a distance that doesn't make sense for you. You could be doing these for PTO. If you're working on all three across the board,
you'd be good. You'd be better. I mean, you'd be better doing that. Doing arena games, the bike handling component. Yeah, I mean, if you could do what Camworth did is admirable to go and even try, but it's like would require some crazy commitment, to be successful. So yeah, it's all good, man. There's nothing, every aspect of our sport right now is really cool. Like
really cool. I love
directions.
When I was interviewing Christian today, he goes, I said, you're doing Ironman 70.3 Olympics, PTO, and successful across the board. So Super League. Why Super League? Because it works on all the stuff that I'm bad at, in and out of the water, in and out of the surf, transitions. I'm like, that takes a lot of guts to basically saying, this is not in my wheelhouse, and that's why I'm going there.
He's an admirable dude. I like him. He makes cool to say, like, he's a cool dude. He's crazy. Cool.
Well,
you're pretty cool, he's so good, man. You see why he's so good, like from his behavior.
Love it.
So yeah. Cheers,
you're a pretty cool dude yourself, my friend. Take care.
Oh,
Thanks
hey,
so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for introducing me to Levi.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Bob.
Take care, buddy.
Man. Yeah, we'll see you.